Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today we are talking about what to do whenever you're feeling overwhelmed. So let's get started. Alright, we're going to give you 5 steps here to do whenever you're feeling overwhelmed. And the first one is to address your feelings. So, what I mean by this is to either write down or talk to somebody about how you're feeling. So, a good place to start if you're not really sure how to start, whether you're writing or you're talking, is to say, just start with kind of like this phrase: I'm overwhelmed because, or the things that are stressing me out right now are this, or the most stressful thing in my life right now is blank. Okay, so you kind of start with one of those things and then just kind of go from there, whether you're writing or whether you're talking to somebody else. So the point with this about addressing your feelings is to avoid constantly avoiding things, or distracting yourself from how you're feeling, because it's really going to be most helpful for you to just go ahead and face it, because your feelings are there, whether you address them or not. So you might as well address them and work from there. So an analogy you can think of is maybe like an avalanche. Okay, so you're on a snowy mountain and you see an avalanche coming towards you. Whether or not you address the avalanche, whether or not you kind of say like, oh hey, there's an avalanche, there's still an avalanche there, and it's still kind of rolling down the hill, right? So the avalanche does not care whether you address it or not. It's still going to exist. Your feelings are the same way. They are still going to exist, and they are something you need to deal with. So it doesn't do you any good to just constantly distract yourself or avoid things. So with the avalanche, if you were, to look the other way, or if you were to, be on your phone or whatever, that's not going to change anything. So the same thing with your feelings. Sometimes if it's just a little something in the moment, sometimes it's healthy and it's okay to distract and avoid. But whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, then it's really important to address your feelings and point out what's going on. All right, second step is to center yourself. So that means to just stop, breathe, and remind yourself that everything's going to be okay. No matter what happens, I'm going to get through this somehow. Maybe this isn't a good thing that's happening to me, maybe this is something that's terrible, but no matter what happens, I'm going to find a way to come out on the other side of it. So really focusing on just calming and reassuring yourself that, hey, I can do this, things are going to be okay. And that's because that first step of facing your feelings can be pretty stressful. So facing an avalanche can be pretty stressful. It can be kind of scary. It can take a lot of courage, and it's a hard thing to do. So then the next thing you need to do is, take all that stress that you're feeling and the feeling of being overwhelmed, and center yourself and try to calm down a little bit. That way you're better equipped to kind of handle the situation. And if you're having trouble with this step of centering yourself, sometimes it's going to feel like it's impossible for you to do. Then get some help. Talking to a friend, talking to a family member, talking to a parent, talking to your school counselor can be something that can help you center yourself, that can help you calm down. Sometimes just having somebody else to listen, it can really help you center yourself, to stop, to slow down, to breathe, and remind yourself that things are going to be okay. All right, third step of what to do whenever you're feeling overwhelmed is to go ahead and make a list of all the things that you need to do. What are all the things that are stressing out? What are all the things you need to get done? Because I'm assuming you're overwhelmed for a reason. So there are things going on in your life that you need to get done, whether it's homework, or whether it's chores, or whatever it might be, or whether it's a project. Go ahead and write all those things down. Same point as before, just like addressing your feelings, this is probably going to be stressful. It's going to be stressful to write out everything that you need done, because then you're going to have this list of like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this list. But a couple things are going to happen. Like, one, I want to make the point again that just like the avalanche that's happening, it exists, whether you point it out or not. So all of these things that you need to do, they exist whether you write them down or not. So writing them down is not going to increase them. It's not going to make them more. It's not going to make them more challenging. If anything, you're just getting more organized about it, okay? So it's not going to change your situation or what you have to do for you to acknowledge it and to write it down. So that's only going to help you get organized. But like I said, this can be stressful. So whenever you get to this step, you might need to go backwards and return to the centering yourself and then complete your list. Maybe you write a few things down, you start to get stressed, go back to the centering yourself if you need to, and stop, breathe, remind yourself it's okay, maybe talk to a friend, and then go back to your list. Because the thing is, you are going to do your best work whenever you're calm, okay, or as calm as possible. The more you can center yourself, the more you can ask for help, the more you can get help from other people and process things with other people, then the better equipped you're going to be to make some progress and to deal with all the things that are making you feel overwhelmed. All right, so we were feeling overwhelmed, we addressed that feeling, we addressed any other feelings associated with it, we centered ourselves, we calmed ourselves down a little bit, we made a list, and now it's time to actually do some things on the list. And I want you to start with the smallest, easiest things on the list. If you have a giant list, even if your list is small, that's okay. 3 things can be overwhelming if those are stressful things to you. So it doesn't matter how long your list is. We're all overwhelmed by what goes on in our lives differently, okay? So you shouldn't be judging yourself by how many things are on the list. Your feeling of being overwhelmed is valid, no matter how many things are on your list. But I want you to start with the small things on your list, because that's going to allow you to get something done, it's going to allow you to check something off, and it's going to allow you to build some momentum. So if you start small, you have a couple of small successes that you can celebrate, and then that gives you some positivity, that gives you some encouragement, like, hey, I can do this, and then you get to move on to the next thing. And then the other tip that I want to give you is for the bigger projects, because eventually you're going to run out of small things, you might have some bigger things to do. Break them up into steps, break them up into smaller pieces. Rather than, I need to read a novel and write 3 pages on it, then I need to break that up into, okay, I'm gonna read this many pages a day, and then I'm gonna have the book done by this date, and then I am going to write, my rough draft by this point. Maybe I'll write 1 page a day during this week. Break things down into smaller steps, and that's gonna allow you to really make it more manageable for yourself and feel less overwhelmed. All right, the last step, step number 5, isn't really a step in and of itself, but it's basically just to cycle back through acknowledging your feelings and centering yourself. As you go through this process, it's not a linear thing. Like I do step 1, then step 2, step 3, step 4, and then I'm done. You're gonna progress sort of in that order, but you're gonna need to go back to calming yourself down, to addressing how you're feeling in order to be most effective. Because like I said before, you're gonna do your best work whenever you're honest with yourself and whenever you're calm. So as you need to, talk to a friend, write down how you're feeling, stop, breathe, address your feelings, acknowledge what you're going through, and then move forward. Don't get discouraged if you start to feel stressed out. That's okay, that's part of the process. You just need to go back to centering yourself a little bit, finding something that can help you relax or someone that you can talk to help you relax, and then kind of getting back to work. So just remember that you can do this if the brain, you as a person, are capable of extraordinary things. Your potential is endless. So if you really put your mind to things, you can get them done. So believe in yourself to tackle that list that you made, and to check things off of it, and to really conquer the feeling of being overwhelmed. And it's okay if it comes back, you know how to deal with it. All right, so I hope this has helped you deal with whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like there's too much on you, and I hope this has helped you kind of figure out what you need to do or how you can help deal with that feeling of everything just crashing down on you. Remember that we're here for you, and your family's here for you, your friends are here for you, Christiansburg is here for you. Reach out if you need help, and other than that, have a great day.